Are you ready? The Kornelia Stephanie Show. Wake up to love, your call to action. Join Kornelia as she empowers others to live heaven on earth. Kornelia teaches listeners how to be the authority over yourself, embracing your inner guru. Feel yourself uplifted into limitless expansion, integrating ease and grace in a changing world. This show will cover topics such as unconditional love, your physical body, how to be in extraordinary relationships, create financial and emotional wealth, embracing entrepreneurship in the new earth.
Happy Friday, everyone. It's the Kornelia Stephanie Show, and we have our stories of hope today. I'm so excited about our first guest. Margie Breault is here. She's an illuminator of paths. She's a mentor of transformation and a guide to inner empowerment. With deep-rooted passion for holistic well-being and personal growth, Margie has dedicated her life to helping individuals break free from limiting beliefs and step into their authentic selves. She's a medium, an energy healer, a flow coach, oral transmitter, and community leader. Margie brings a unique blend of spiritual wisdom and practical insights to her work. Welcome to the show today, Margie.
Thank you so much for sharing your space with me today, Kornelia.
It's wonderful to have you. So how did you get started in this business? I mean, you've got a lot of, flow coach, energy healer. How did you get started in all of that?
Oh, that's such a great question. And I feel like starting at the root is so important so you understand why and how I got to where I'm at. So really early in my life, I was disconnected from sense of self and disconnected from truth and disconnected from being able to identify my own emotions or my own ideas or my own creativity. And that started in the form of at the age of 4, I was made to look in the mirror and tell myself that I was a liar. And this came from a parental figure. And every time this person felt like I challenged their means of survival mode, I challenged the way that they needed to look at things in the world. It was immediate, like, here's this limiting belief that I cannot accept on my own, so I'm placing it on you, and I want you to accept it as your belief system. And so I operated like that for a long time. So I believed I was a liar. I believed that I liked chaos. I believed that I was the cause and source of pain for everybody. So that forced me into like a positive projective role where I was always trying to be the people pleaser and make the bully a sandwich because that was my fault they were in pain. And I was constantly in that victimhood where everything was always happening to me. I had no control over life. And if I went into that explosive perpetrator role, it was only because someone forced me to be there. So I was operating in all of these worldly roles. I was really disconnected from truth, and I had no idea how to even identify how I was feeling or what the root cause to all of that was. So in my early adulthood, I was started going to therapy, and I became really self-aware of how to use the terminology, but it really didn't feel like it gave me tools. And still, to be honest, in therapy, I was still lying a lot because I didn't know how to even identify my truth. And I thought that everything I said was a lie anyway. So I lied to cover up that lie. And then in my early 20s, a friend introduced me to Reiki, and that was my first introduction to energy medicine and energy as a means of healing. And in those sessions, I started to feel really calm and peaceful, and I really enjoyed the moments where I felt relief and I felt that energy was moving. But I would go back into my everyday life, and those limiting beliefs and those operating systems would really prevail in my life. There was never really any tools. I felt like I was still just like going to these energy sessions, going to therapy, and then going back into the world and still having these reoccurring themes pop up, these patterns, these traumas, these triggers, like continuing to bump into them, continuing to find codependent relationships so that I didn't have to focus on my own stuff, continuing to be in that victimhood, that positive projector where my voice was like really uprooted and high, and I still had no idea how to identify with myself. And so a friend of mine was like, you know what, because of all of the ways in which you've been disconnected from who you are, I feel like learning these modalities and the theories and the ancient wisdom behind them is really what's going to help you transform and really help you start to connect to yourself on a deeper level. Because what we're tapping into is ancient wisdom, and that ancient wisdom lives in ourselves. And that when we can ignite it, we start to live differently in the world. So I started learning about different modalities, the first being Reiki. I went all the way up to my Reiki master teacher. And then I was introduced to a community that was being taught through oral transmission by Lisa Ishwari Murphy called the Svaha Yoga and Synergy of Sound Academy. And they started teaching me about natural law. So my first segue into natural law, where I really felt those light bulbs exploded, I really felt like that sense of truth just really wave and wash through me, was learning about the law of polarity. So, for your listeners who might not know what the law of polarity is talking about how everything in the world has a built-in duality, and everything here on the planet Earth, all the way from the galaxies beyond the beyond, are made up of atoms. And those atoms have positive and negative ions, and then the center is the nucleus. And so, being in an awareness of both is really where we have true power, not trying to be on one side or the other. That's when we're tipping the scales. We're either going to implode or explode. But being in the eye of the storm versus being thrown around in that loop around. And so, and coming into that awareness and recognizing that I could move differently through the world and not have to be in this unsustainable place of positive projection. And I didn't have to negate any emotions that people labeled as heavy or dense. Truly, I saw a whole new life. Like in that moment, I was like, I can do this differently. I can be different. I just have to stay on this path. And so in that moment, I had a choice. I could continue to learn from the people I was learning from and continue to go deeper into ancient wisdom practices and figure out how to weave that into my life. So not only was I learning the formula that heals me, but I'm living the formula that heals me. And so that is where that ignite moment really happened. And so from that moment, I continued and still continue to be a lifelong learner who engages in not just mystical wisdom, but scientific knowledge, so that I can tell anybody who says this is woo-woo stuff and it's not real, I can say, well, it's actually scientific, and it's based not only on ancient wisdom practices that have passed down from ancient and indigenous peoples who have been here long before us, but it's also scientific practices that are based in science. So I use a lot of natural law, and the ways that I work and the types of practices that I do is weaved into everything that I do. I also teach a class on that. And then I also bring in all of the other energy medicine modalities that I have training in and that I use regularly and practice in my everyday life.
Right. Wow. What a fabulous story unfolding and obviously still continuing. Uh, so you talked about the law of polarity. So are there other natural laws that you teach and talk about?
Oh, yeah. So there's lots of universal laws. There's 12 main, and then there's sub laws underneath that. And mostly people will recognize the law of attraction and manifestation because that's really sexy, right? People want to attract all of these things into their life. And what people don't realize is that when they're operating in the worldly law, when they're operating in separation, which is not in alignment with natural law, it's not in unity and balance, you're always attracting and manifesting just at the vibration that you don't realize that you have the control over where you're sitting. And so that is the law of attraction with the law of rhythm, with the law of vibration, with the law of oneness, with the law of cause and effect, and really all woven into one to allow you to manifest the life that you're really looking for. So some of what I help to teach people, especially when I'm doing energy for life coaching and doing flow and transformational energy sessions, is helping people understand the laws and helping them embody them in their life. So it's that continuous practice, that continuous remindment, that continuous like breaking agreement with the limiting beliefs that have separated them from operating inside of natural law, and allowing them the space, non-judgment, with lots of compassion to help them liberate from those limiting beliefs and come into an optimal imagination state where they can actually move it through the world in that connected place.
How do you feel now that you've come to this state of awareness, this state of healing with your current transformation, everything that you've gone through? How do you feel now about your childhood?
Honestly, I am thankful for everything that she went through. I wouldn't be the person that I am today if I didn't go through all of those things. I wouldn't have had to find the healing modalities and learn about the ancient wisdom traditions and continue to learn and expand if I had a different childhood. There are definitely times when I'm triggered or when I'm going growing through something that I really hug that little girl inside of me that had to go through what I've mentioned here on the show and so much more. But I truly am thankful for all of my experiences because through all of them, we've it's allowed me to grow into the person I am now.
Yeah. So you work with people one-on-one, or do you just do speaking engagements?
I work on people one-on-one, and then I also do group, and then I also do workshops. I facilitate sound and meditation, breath work, mantra sessions, and then I also do a natural law workshop. I'm apprenticing, so I can start teaching some of the classes that I've had the opportunity to take and continue to take the higher level classes with the academy that I teach with now. And then I also do the one-on-one and group sessions. So I do group sound and meditation, but then I also do group coaching and group healing sessions. And then I also do those one-on-one virtually or in person.
Why is it important that people speak their mantras? Why is that important?
Speaking the mantras helps us connect vibrationally to the words. So when we're speaking those ancient Sanskrit intentions, really they're intentions. Every mantra is holds an intention. And when we're speaking them, we're connecting with the vibration of what they mean. And even if you don't actually speak them correctly, it's really holding the intention of what you're speaking and why you're speaking it. And I also like to tell people, even if you can't say Om Tara Tu Tara Ture Swaha or Gate Gate Parasam Gate Bodhi Swaha, like even if you can't say that perfectly, that's okay. If you know what that means and you say it in English, that is going to make the same amount of impact.
Okay, okay. How can people find you on social media? How can they look you up?
Yeah, you can look me up on my website, which is www.prismofbrilliance.biz. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok as Prism of Brilliance, and I look forward to connecting with anyone who would be looking to reach out.
That's wonderful. I celebrate your healing. I think it's wonderful how you've come through this whole thing full circle and now are sharing and offering your gifts to all you come in contact with. It's wonderful. Thank you
Thank you,
so much.
Cornelia.
Yeah, thank you for coming on the show. We're going to take a break on the Kornelia Stephanie Show. We'll be right back, everyone. Welcome back, everyone. Our next guest today is Jessica Seiders. She embarked on a transformative journey after her daughter left for college. She was confronted with the challenges of empty nest syndrome, and she refused to let it define her. Taking bold action, Jessica sold her belongings, quit her job, and set off on a 2-year adventure to explore the world. During her travels, Jessica became a master certified life coach. Welcome to the show today, Jessica.
Thank you.
So, okay, so set up the story. You were all of a sudden an empty nester.
Yes. So I was a teen mom, and my daughter's father passed away when she was 2 years old. So I was 21 years old when he passed away, and it was always just the two of us. So when she left for college, I was absolutely devastated. I was in such a heavy depression that I just didn't know what to do with my life. I didn't like where I lived. I didn't like my job. I was grieving the fact that she had left for college. I didn't know what to do with myself. I lost my identity as a mom, and I was just lost. And so in January 1st of 2019, I just asked myself, like, do I want my daughter to be proud of me, or do I want her to be worried about me? And so I knew that I needed to make bold action in order to change my life, because the way that it was going just wasn't how I wanted to live my life. I wanted to leave a legacy. Like, is that how I want to be remembered by? And so I gave it a lot of thought, and so I had a friend who had said within the first 12 days of the year, it's going to determine the way the rest of your year is going to go. And I was like, well, I better make this good then, because I don't want it to continue to go downwards. So I made this decision to sell my belongings and quit my job to travel the world. Wow. And I gave my notice to my job. I gave 6 months notice so that I could train someone properly and leave on good terms. And I took that 6 months to downsize all of my belongings, get rid of them. I sold them. I threw some stuff in the trash. I did keep a small storage unit with memories, like pictures and things like that. And then in July of 2019, 19, I set off on my journey. I got on a plane to Spain with 3 days booked in a hostel and no other plan. And so I just wanted the universe to guide the way. I wanted to meet people along the way and not have a plan for the first time in my life. And it worked out. I traveled 2 years, 17 countries, and I lived in Bali for 15 months during the pandemic. And during that time, I found myself outside of being a mom. I recreated my identity. I learned my purpose for helping other empty nester moms in the similar situation. And I created rewind. So June of 2021, I came back to the United States, and I went back to the same town I was living in and the same company I was working at. And then I was feeling the same way I was before my trip. So I knew that I needed to make some changes. And I decided to move to San Diego in June of 2022. So two years ago, I started a group for moms of adult children, and we grew it to about 1,300 members. And we've had over 40 successful events. I love the group so much. And a few months ago, I started my own business. So I started a business called Up Them, and it's centered around helping empty nester moms step into their power and to make big decisions in their life in order to move forward and succeed.
Wow, this is quite the story. I mean, I'm sure that, hopefully one day you'll write a book and
Yeah.
document your stories, because I mean, just you said 19 countries, you said?
17 countries. Now it's 18. I just went to Mexico. So
Yeah, so I think, that in itself is like, to be able to articulate all of the stories that you've experienced there, all the memories that you have. And I think it was so courageous. I mean, your soul must feel so liberated inside
it
that, right, that you went ahead and did that. And what a beautiful question to ask yourself is, you want your daughter to be proud of you. Would your daughter be proud of you if you just stayed and did nothing, right?
Right.
And so that was the question. What would you say? I mean, I know that your people are moms who, experience empty nesters, but what would you say to a person that doesn't have children? Because this type of a question, I think, was just brilliant.
Yeah, I think that what I learned on my journey is that the most important thing is to take action. So like not stay stagnant. Like if you don't like your job, then leave it. If you don't like where you live, then move. And you just have to identify what is not working in your life and do something about it.
Yeah. So that's basically what it is that, and that's what you did. You were looking at your life, and you knew that you didn't want to stay stuck and have the same kind of life, and that you wanted a big change.
Yes.
And you really experienced that and created that for yourself.
Yep. And I think life is what you make of it, and anybody can change their life. You just have to, and it doesn't have to be something big like selling your belongings and quitting your job to travel the world, because most people won't do that. Just simply going to the gym, staying consistent, like taking a class, doing things that you've never done, stepping outside of your comfort zone. Those are the things I feel like are important in growth, like just growing as a person and learning who you are. Just as a person.
So tell us about your daily life. What does your daily life look like now? Like, what do you do? Like, what's your daily life like?
So it's funny enough, like a year ago, I was laid off from my job, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. At the time, I thought that it was, devastating. But then I became a nanny, and I really love it. Like he's just so happy and gives me hugs and kisses, and also keeps me in shape. I could have went back to corporate, but I chose this. This is what I want for my life. And then also my business, of course. So I'm doing my business in addition to being a nanny. And it's just like the perfect match, I feel like.
Yeah, it sounds like you're just designing your life exactly how you want to live it. Corporate wasn't going to play a part of it anymore for you. You found a lifestyle that is important to you, and you're designing it and living it as you know, as you see fit. So tell us about your group. How can people join that group?
It's a San Diego-based group, so it's San Diego Moms of Adult Children. So San Diego dash Moms of Adult Children. It's on Facebook, and yeah, we have lots of meetups. And next week we're going to do a float event with the group, which is going to be great. Yeah.
What is that? What is a float event?
So we have like a lazy river in the area, and so we're going to go and all float together on the river. Or not the river, but the lazy river.
That's great. And I bet you made a whole lot of new friends.
Yes. Oh my
Right?
goodness. I love it.
Yeah. And so what about your daughter? What is she, how does she respond to you nowadays?
We are just so good. Like we talk every day, we text, we Snapchat, we do all the things. And I just feel like, she had to find herself outside of being dependent on me. And then I had to find myself outside of being dependent on her. So we just kind of went on our own journeys, and now we support each other. We both love to travel. We're going to Guatemala in November together. Last November, we went to Hawaii. So we just love to travel and have new experiences together.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you two inspire each other.
Yes, we do all the time. I'm so proud of her. She's really great. She graduated as the 2022 outstanding grad, and she was the commencement speaker at graduation. So I was very proud of her.
That's so good. That's a good, and I bet she's really proud of you too.
Yeah, I think so.
It sounds like, with the choices you made, alongside with where the questions that you were asking, traveling the world, doing what you did, you liberated yourself. And then you also liberated the family. You liberated your daughter. You liberated, the lineage, if you will, that it doesn't have to be this way. I don't have to suffer here or die here or stay stuck in this environment. There's something new that can be born. And then like you said, you had to take action. So
Yeah,
well done, you. Well done.
thank you.
How do people get in contact with you on social media? Like, what's your website and what's your social media handles?
I am on Instagram and TikTok as Fearless Empty Nester. I'm on Facebook under my new business name, UPFEM, UPFEM. And I have a website, www.upfem.com.
Up them.
UPFEM, UPFEM. So like up leveling your life. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Up them. Okay, cool. What do you want to say to the audience with final words today?
I think I would just say take action. Just like if you are unhappy in your life, just figure out what's making you unhappy and do something about it. That's pretty much the trick that I found out.
Yeah. Straight and simple, cut the chase and do something about it. Identify what it is that you want to change in your life, and then do something about it. Don't sit on the fence, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I do coaching on the side.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, Jessica, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you.
What you're doing. Yes. And we're going to take a break on the Kornelia Stephanie Show. We'll be right back, everyone. Welcome back, everyone. Our next guest is Dr. Jeana Locke. She's a human design and energy healer master coach who coaches her clients to bridge the gap between where they are and where they want to be. With a PhD and 25 years of experience as a teacher, counselor, and administrator, Dr. Locke understands the importance of using assessments effectively to develop programs that support personal growth. Welcome to the show today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So you discovered that having more than one modality for personal growth, or am I saying that correctly? Am I formulating?
That would be a really good way to describe it. I had a bunch of stuff in life happen. One of those people that everybody would say, oh, her life was perfect. Oh, she made all this stuff. She had all the Western science stuff, but I was not good inside, and it was really hard. And then I had a near-death experience that I couldn't explain away. I tried to, couldn't. And all of a sudden I realized I needed to look at life differently, needed to do this different. I started embracing some Eastern modalities and found the connection between Western and Eastern. And then I added human design, which is not exactly a modality, but an assessment process. And I recognized the value of understanding your human design and then using these different energy healing techniques to help you develop your own special toolkit. That my toolkit won't work for you, yours might not work for me. And there's like a really great way of looking at, there's a lot of tools. Which tool do I need today? And that's my strength area, is helping find using that. And I do a lot with the human design to help them understand their own personal uniqueness when they do that.
Yeah. So when you say that it took you a while, that you thought you were, you were just going along with life, and then you had certain things happen to you, like a near-death experience. That's kind of like a universal thing that's happening, right? That's kind of like, okay, wake up, or see more, or look deeper, or whatever, right? So, did that then get you to see more or look deeper, or the near-death experience, did that?
What a wonderful question. The near-death experience made me realize I couldn't ignore all these tugs I'd had. I'd always read the books. I read James Redfield for years, and I'd read Richard Bach, and I'd read, Wayne Dyer, and I'd read Louise Hayes. I'd read the books, and I thought they were, oh, these are really cool books. But as a Western science person with a PhD, I never talked about the books. I never pulled in and did it. I realized after the near-death experience that everything I'd been doing was not working. And I was teaching a licensed professional counseling program. I was teaching capstone classes and the assessment classes. I was teaching LPCs how to do LPC stuff. And I recognized that it wasn't going to work for me, and it might not work for everybody. And I recognized, so as I pulled back and looked, I said, I have to do this differently. But I had to own the fact that that Western science stuff had credentialing. It had purpose. It had good stuff in it. It is like, if you break your leg, you don't pretend Western medicine doesn't work. You might want to go and have it set. The Eastern medicine may help you heal the modality or understand why it happened. So the same thing happened with the Eastern modality. I started embracing it. I connected with the energy healer, who was awesome. Then I started doing some retreats and got into the human design part. And when I understood my human design, the person I had hated all my life was me, because I was a manifesting generator, and I didn't know why I was so busy, and I didn't know why I had to read all these books or try all these things or do all this stuff. And all of a sudden I had this beautiful reading from this wonderful person named Karen Curry Parker. And the 2 hours of listening, I left crying, going, I had so much empathy for this little kid inside of me who was doing exactly the way she was designed to be done. This woman had never met me in her life, and she described my whole life and where I'd felt it and where I hadn't, and even the potentials of where I'd felt like I should go. And it gave me this thing. All of a sudden I knew, I'm a manifesting generator. I'm supposed to be busy all the time. I'm a 3. I'm supposed to do trial and error. I'm a 6. I'm at that stage in my life where I'm supposed to be giving back to the world. I'm supposed to gift back, to provide these gifts so other people can follow and find their alignment within themselves. So as I say that to you, is that the human design helped me love me, and it helped me see that the way this person did it wasn't going to work for me because of my design. And then I'm able to help clients now look at their design and stop, and we pull together all these different tools, and we see which tool works, and we give it some tweaking and measuring it, and help them design their own special toolkit. And when they need extra support, they can come and ask. The hope is that they can start loving themselves, and as they need it, they can find that tool that is there. That makes sense?
Oh, very much so. Very much so. I can relate to some of the things that you're saying, especially the part about hating yourself. I also had that wound, and that was a tough one.
it is when society thinks everything in your life is like, okay, you did all the stuff you were supposed to do and you look like you're okay on the outside and you have this whatever there may be. And yeah, inside things just keep crashing. I would call it chaos inside. And things fall apart. You don't know why they fell apart. And Western science said they shouldn't have fallen apart, but they did. So yes, it is such a relief when you actually stop and look at yourself and understand that some of this was to help you help others later.
Yeah.
It's easier to look back on it and give myself a lot more grace, I'd say, for some of the things I did. They weren't mistakes. They were growing lessons to help me help others.
Yeah.
And
It's so good. I mean, because when you think about it, since we're all doing the same thing, and that is we're learning to love ourselves, we're learning to heal ourselves. We meet the different people in our lives that are there to help us, that can help us. But learning to parent yourself and hug that little inner girl, right? When you discovered the wound of the self-hatred or the abandonment or the betrayals or the not good enoughs, whatever they are, that you have the tools to be able to bring yourself back into wholeness where you belong. And so it's quite the journey. So now you're helping people develop their own toolboxes, if you will.
Yes, I do it through a great vibe transformation is what I call it. But basically, it's a human design. We use a lot of tapping. I'm certified in a 3 does a lot of experimenting and trial and error. So 3s have lots of certifications. And I'm one of those people that you don't want to list them all. There are too many. So I've got the certifications in all these different modalities and in counseling and in the Western part. And I bring those all together to help people put their own pieces together and to stop and recognize those pieces may not work from now on. Sometimes you're going to have to change the pieces out when different things in life happen or when you change and evolve. And the timing was right. It was, I wasn't listening, and Source decided you're going to listen now, and it gave me a really big experience that couldn't be negated or talked away or blown out of, I just had to accept that it was real. And boy, that was about 6 months of like really being mad. So, because I thought, I get to die now. I was really excited. And then I didn't. So then it was like, okay, you better fix this. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You need to stop and address what you can do so you can contribute to the world just the way you've always believed.
Yeah. So basically you were in a near-death experience that lasted about 6 months.
Well, the near-death experience didn't. The near-death experience was a one-day thing, but I was just mad when it happened. My car hydroplaned under another. There was a highway patrolman behind me when it happened. It was like they saw it, they experienced it, they pulled me over and said, how come you're not dead? Why are you not dead? And what was I supposed to say? I felt the angels come and pick up the car and put it up in front of the semi, and things just kept happening during that whole 2-hour experience there that were unexplainable to that highway patrolman and to myself. And I had to stop and embrace, because there's a piece of paper that says, we discussed safety, because he couldn't give me a ticket. He couldn't do anything and he couldn't explain it. And he was really upset. But I had to stop and embrace the fact that was real, that the angels really did pick up the car. I really saw them. They really did put me in front. It really did happen. Now, you don't get to die yet. You need to do something with your life that gives a contribution back. What are you going to do? And I had to get over the anger of having to go start over again. I think you grasp that.
Yeah.
The starting over again and I was just not wanting to do it at that point. And I had to really, really get there. And I found a wonderful energy healer who took me under her wing and made all the difference in the world. So.
Yeah, that's so good that right away, it's always like that, isn't it? Mm-hmm. When right person appears at the right person appears at the right time. We're never alone. We always have the support we need. And, no matter what the situation is, that the universe is continuously showing us and talking to us. Good for you for, staying and putting all the pieces together, working with the right person. How is it that people can find you on social media?
They can find me at Dr. Jeana Locke, and Jeana is spelled differently for those of just listening. It's JeanaLocke, and it's just at Dr. Locke on Instagram. My website's Jeana Locke. You can find me there. There's a free gift for everyone who signs up that you get a 30-minute energy healing session, or if you prefer, a short human design reading, or a combo if you'd like, to get just having to be able to have a glimpse at, I guess that's what my energy healer gave me the first time. And that's my gift back to those who need it. So if it helps them.
Yeah. So was your energy healer the person that introduced you to human design?
Sort of. She mentioned it. She talked about it slightly, but she and I went to a retreat together. And at the retreat was the human design person. So that's how I ended up, the dots just kept connecting and being able to be there. So she didn't work with me on human design. She had mentioned, here's a little bit about you, but we decided, once I got my certification in emotion code, we went to a retreat together. And at this retreat was the teacher. So when the student's ready, the teacher appears, and each time that has happened. So now it's my turn to be the teacher often. And yes, I'm still the student at times. So,
Absolutely.
We all are. So it's a blessing.
So, it's so interesting, because a lot of like my work too, you're speaking of the emotion code. I wrote a book on emotions with emotional processing and the emotional core wounding and all of that. And I'm a 3/5, by the way.
Oh, a master teacher. Oh my goodness. Oh, how wonderful. Yes.
Yeah. So I do know my human design, and I love using astrology.
Me too.
So that's one of my tools that I use. I'm an avid journaler, and that's really that's the modality that I still use to this day, journaling. And so it's just been a wonderful journey. But the main thing is that I'm saying with what I'm saying is the emotions are so huge, the healing, the core wounding, and to come back into a neutral state of anything from the past that has hurt us, or that has harmed us, or there's injustice and there's pain. That is the reason why we had to learn how to feel again. We had to learn how to feel and to be okay with what it is that we're feeling, right?
It is. It is so true. And trying to let go of the emotional attachment to what was, and to be able to move forward on it. And I'm a firm believer. I combine astrology in every single component of my work. Oh, yes. Astrology and human design, the combination of how it works is so tremendous. And so I'm a firm believer. We can see which house it's in, and we know where those core wounds may often be when those things occur. And so we use that with just in case, I didn't mean to go there, but we do that with a lot of, I use a lot of using the human design, seeing the energy of the gate, seeing where it is in astrology and which house it's in, and then to stop and either figure out what tool it may be, whether it is journaling or whether it is some type of a different program, or whether it may be tapping. I do a lot of intentional tapping and doing the certification process in that one, and then do a lot of topic healing, do the different emotion code, body code, alignment code, all the ones. Whatever that client needs to let go of the attachment to that past, and I'm going to call it a trauma, that is still triggering them in their body, and to provide that. So yes, it is a perfect example of it. And your description of it was spot on.
That's
spot on.
Yeah, that's so good. I've never heard that. I've never heard it called before. The 3/5 profile. That I've a master teacher. I don't think I've ever heard that.
Well, a 3 is an experimenter explorer, and a 5 becomes masterful in their world. And many 5s become the best teachers because they become masterful in this experience, and they have a mastery of this, and they're able to provide and show others to be able to do that. When you hit a 3/5 who's in alignment with who they are and their being, they're going to stop. And you're going to find a master teacher that you can, when you're ready for that teacher, this student is ready for that teacher, and you connect with that teacher, and that's the right one, you will learn from that teacher by osmosis almost. You will almost absorb their energy of, I want you to understand this, feel this, and experience this. And there's something about a three, many of my master teachers are 3-5. So it's not that it's to say they all have to be, they do not. I'm a 3-6 personally, and you can be a teacher, but you become masterful in one area that is such a specialty that you have a strength that goes beyond. And it is wonderful to have a person who is open to demonstrating, showing, and facilitating the experience of others who has that 5. Because they're able to understand what that person needs. In your chart, it's an open center. And in their chart, they need your understanding of how it feels when it's in low alignment and high alignment. And you get it because you have that. So you usually end up working in fields where you have a lot of openness in your human design chart. That's too detailed for this particular little thing. But yes, it is. I call 3-5s the master teacher. That's my description of a 3-5. So.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I want to have you on for another show. Maybe we can do a longer show where we can go a little bit more in detail about the human design. And we can use me as an example because
I would love to.
Yeah, that would be great. I'll have Ashley, my assistant, contact you and we'll set up a time to book another show for a little longer time.
And think of yourself, my dear, as a master teacher, because when you know it, they can find you because they feel that vibration. And then they'll come.
Awesome. I love that so much. Dr. Jeana Locke, thank you so much for coming on the show. We're going to take a break, everyone. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Our next guest, I can't wait to introduce him to you, is Jerry Caruso. He began to be funny at the age of 12, impersonating celebrities at the St. Patrick's Day elementary schoolyard. And he has since been making people laugh throughout his life all over the place. Welcome to the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Great to be on.
So we were talking in the green room that you're making people laugh, all day, all the time when you're going to events and various different things. Tell us about that. Like you're going to places that like hospitals and cancer events and different things like that.
It's such a joy because it's like the point is that, like, you know how you say every day you try to make people laugh. It's true. I think I got to be on because the pressure's on. Like, oh, you're a comedian. Oh, so you're going to make it. Go ahead. Tell me something. I go, no. It's just going to come out spontaneously. They go, no. Tell us a joke, So it's kind of funny. But anyway, going to like support groups and Hope Lodge for cancer patients in Boston is just a great thing. They're anticipating. They put up flyers. It's me and another guy. My friend Paul Durance does 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and I do like 45 to an hour. And they're so welcoming. And I just look at these people like, they'll say, you're a hero for what you do. I go, no. You're the heroes. You're fighting something. And I'm sitting here just making you laugh. But then they say, hey, you make us laugh. It takes us away from what we're going through. So it's kind of a cool thing just to walk in and they all expect it. Or I'll do like senior centers. And it's amazing because they want you to be, rated R. I go, no. I got to hire to do this. They go, I got a joke for you. I go, no, save it. But they're the nicest people. And there's living proof that laughter is universal from a little child all the way up to someone in their 80s. Like one guy goes, he comes up to me, he goes, I'm 85. I go, I took you for 84. He goes, wise guy. I go, no, I'm just making a joke. He goes, you gonna be filthy? I go, no. He goes, and he just walked away. And the woman that ran the senior center said, oh, you met Johnny? I go, what do you mean? That's all Johnny wants is dirty jokes. It's like, But I represent me and I represent who I'm working for. So I try to make it as professional as possible. But then I try to bond with them too. Like there's one senior center I recently did. It was supposed to be a 45-minute show. It went an hour and 15 minutes because it was so good. And they were asking me questions. I go, who's writing a book here? And they go, nobody's writing a book. They just wanted me to stay. And I'm supposed to be going back in the fall. So it's just such a great experience.
Well, it sounds like, again, we were talking about it, that laughter is, such a healing modality.
Yeah.
It's really, and when people are laughing, like really laughing, it's just you're in such a state of peace, you know what I mean?
Mm.
And it's especially nowadays, I think laughter is so important because everything is so intense and
Oh,
chaotic and so many things, right?
yep. Yep.
Yeah.
It's so true. And when you say something funny, it just opens that door up and it lets people know, like, we don't have to talk about anything serious. We can just make jokes. And like I tell people, I always open up with, and it seems to be a favorite. I said, I've been doing comedy for 30 years. My mother's from Italy. And she says, I said, Ma, she's never seen one show. And the crowd goes, oh, I go, hey, I tell my mother, 30 years plus doing comedy, come see me. She goes, no, no, no. I don't come and see you do the stupid comedy show. I go, why, Ma? She says, because they laugh for you. And people go, that's such a brilliant joke. I go, no, she did say that. She thinks that's embarrassing that people are laughing at me. So she hasn't come to one show. It's just amazing.
Wow, that's amazing. But
Well,
that you have that accent really good. You got
you
that
know,
down really good.
I've lived with it, and aunts and uncles, and the 40 or 50 cousins that I never knew I had, and uncles I never knew they were real uncles. They just call them uncle,
Yeah.
because there's a Tony attached to it or a Mikey. It's just so it's just so cool. Like, if you cherish your nationality and what you go through, you can find so many things that bring on similarities to other nationalities. People think, oh, just because you're Italian, you store food in the basement. Everybody did, like
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm hitting 68 and I'll be 69 soon, but I don't act my age. I just know that for the
Yeah.
most part.
Well, keep making people laugh. I think you look great, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Must
Now,
be the moisturizers. No, I'm
oh,
kidding.
must be the moisturizer. Yeah, yeah.
No, I
Yeah.
don't do anything. I just do it, and I always try to laugh and try to make people's day, and because I know that even just a little dose of humor. A good example was when I did cancer patients back in 2019. Yeah, there was a guy, Oscar. He come up to me and my friend. He goes, I got some joker for you. Another Italian man in his mid to late 70s. And he tells me this joke, and I share it in honor of him everywhere I go. So in honor of Oscar, this is one of my favorite clean jokes. So a guy's driving a cab, okay? He picks up a beautiful nun. He keeps looking in the back seat. The beautiful nun goes, my son, is there a problem? You keep peering at me. He goes, no, sister, just you're a beautiful nun. I've always had a fantasy to kiss a beautiful nun. I'm so sorry. She goes, remove your hands from your face. This could happen if you meet two of the qualifications. He goes, what's that? She goes, you must be single and you must be Catholic. He goes, oh my God, I'm both. Well, stops the cab, hops in the back seat. She gives him the longest, most 5-minute kiss. He couldn't believe it. He was in heaven. He starts driving her to a destination. He starts crying his eyes out. The nun goes, my son, do I detect tears? He goes, yes, I'm sorry I lied to you. I'm not single. I'm not Italian. I'm married and I'm Jewish.
Oh my
And then,
God.
and then the nun says, that's okay. My name is Kevin. I'm going to a costume party.
Ah!
That is from a cancer patient, and it's such one of the greatest clean jokes, and people try to repeat it. Tell me that joke again, because it's just so funny. And I
Yeah.
think the thing with comedians, like I teach comedy too, is that a lot of them will tell a joke, repeat a joke, like say we call it a street joke or somebody else's joke, but they don't put emotion into it. I try to put emotion to it because that's how you sell it. You're like a salesman. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how it is.
Yeah. I want to tell the audience how they can look you up and find you on social media if they want to hire you or
Oh
follow you.
God, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, the best place, I had a website, it went defunct, not my fault, but the company's fault. I have to rebuild it and do another one. But I'm on Facebook under Jerry with a J, Caruso, Caruso. I've also done virtual shows for Relay for Life for cancer patients, or they'll show it to the survivors. And I just did one in Ohio and did one in New York, and then I'm scheduled to go to another one in New York. It's such a cool thing. It's just such, I mean, who can tell you, hey, Jerry, go make people laugh and here's some money while you're at it? And it's like, what?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
Jerry, here, go raise some money. Then you turn around and it's like, hey, we just raised $9,000 because you were telling jokes from that. Wow. So it's like, so it's a cool thing. It's like I said, it's a gift from God, and I think that it took me long enough to do it, since I do this since 12, but I didn't really start doing it till I was 38. Go figure.
Good job. Good job. Well, thank you, Jerry Caruso, for coming on the show. Keep shining, keep making people laugh. And I think what you're doing is great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for all you do to get out this good news to everybody. It's such a great thing, you know.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I want to thank everybody for listening and tuning into the show today. We'll see you again next week, everyone. Take good care. Bye.
You've been listening to the Kornelia Stephanie Show, Wake Up to Love, your call to action. Tune in each week on Transformation Talk Radio. Kornelia's joy is to engage others in practical ways, showing us how to live in the new earth in harmony with our true nature. For more information on Kornelia and her extraordinary work, or to listen to past shows, go to her website at korneliastephanie.com.